Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Time to start the weekday reading vlog. So if you saw my last reading vlog, you'll notice that I'm still in the middle of like a couple books, or if you follow me on Goodreads or Storygraph, I am in the middle of a couple books. Let's see what can you stop moving the camera? Let's see what I am in the middle of that I can remember. So physically, I am in the middle of Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This one has taken the back burner for now. One, it's really thick, but I also just like was in the mood to pick up some other things. But this is currently a work in progress. Hopefully I'll finish it before the month ends. Maybe not during this vlog, but this will get finished hopefully by the end of February. We'll see how much progress I do in this vlog. I am in the middle of a couple of ebooks, and I already have like an idea of what I want to read physically if I'm not in the mood to read this physically. In the last vlog I mentioned I started Rosewater by Thompson. I'm still in the middle of that. I have made quite a bit of progress and I have like some thoughts about it. Also have not finished Blood Mercy by Vila Roth, I believe is the author's name. This also has taken back burner because it's a lot more fantasy heavy than I thought it was going to be, because I just thought this was a romantasy, but there's a lot more fantasy elements that I thought, but right now that's also taking a back burner. And then there is another ebook that I want to pick up because I wanted something lighter. I haven't been reading lighthearted or at least lighter stuff as of late. Let's see, where should I start? So we'll start with Rosewater by Thompson. That's the one I'm gonna focus on and finish first in this vlog. This book is set in a fictional city in Nigeria called Rosewater. It's shaped like a donut because in the middle of Rosewater there's this like dome that was placed there by aliens. This does take place in like the near future, like 2050, 2060, something along those lines. Anyways, we follow a character who lives in the city, and he's also a very interesting person. There's a lot of in-story explanation, but he's essentially like a sensitive, like he is kind of like a telepath. He's very good at like digging up memories, like digging through people's brains, that kind of thing. It has to do with this alien thing. It's explained in the books, but just know that he's like, if you like telepaths, he is one. Anyways, this dome opens like once a year, and a bunch of like alien spores like come out of the dome, and it like heals people, like everyone from like cancer to people who have like physical ailments. Even sometimes it heals too good and it reanimates bodies. There's some pretty like disturbing scenes of people whose physical ailments were healed, and it just deformed them in a way that is like insane. Anyways, it's a very intense book. The writing is not going to be for everyone. I myself was struggling with it earlier on, and like now that some things are kind of like picking up, I'm getting used to it. It's a lot though. It's not a book that I could speed read or anything, nor do I think anyone should kind of just like breeze through it. It's a little heavier at times. The main character's voice is pretty like monotonous, like boring, like very blasé about everything. Like, you know, this character could go through some very intense stuff, like you know, dangerous, life threatening situations, and he's just very like droning on about it, like if it's like just an inconvenience. And it's, I don't know, I understand that sometimes characters are that way, but as a reader it's like not great to read that, like just someone very like flat almost. There's also a lot of time jumps, jumping from like 2030 to 2040 to 2050, and I don't mind time jumps or flashbacks if it like helps establish some sort of like history or world building or something, but it's constant back and forth. And the time jumps are also kind of written in a way that is maybe like intentionally trying to mislead the reader. I feel like the author is like purposely like trying to like mess with time here, and like memories, something having to do with the character and these alien things. Again, it's explained more, but it's just it's a little tough to get through. The main character also, their inner like monologue, inner thoughts are very like, I can, I do, I this, I that, I, and I think this is a choice from the author, but again, it might not be great to read. It really adds to like monotonous, like going through the motions, when a lot of these things that our characters going through is not normal, like going to work 9 to 5. He's doing some really intense things, or he's involved with some really intense people and situations, and it's anything but like monotonous. So that voice juxtaposed with what's actually happening in the book, it's very jarring. And I don't think people will like it. Other than that, the elements of this, the aliens, like the contact, all that, really cool. That's currently what I will be focusing on. And I will come back once I finish, and then I'll let you know what else is next. It's Monday, by the way. I start these vlogs on Monday and I end them on a Friday. I will come back hopefully by tonight. If not, then tomorrow. It's Thursday. I have not updated the vlog since Monday. Okay, where do I start? So I finished Rosewood by Thompson. I'm giving this like a 3.5 star, first of all, because right off the bat, positives, the elements of the story are so cool. Like there's like this alien microbe deal business. Our main character has this like telepathic ability, and a bunch of stuff goes on, and just like how the author puts together that telepathic thing that he does with this alien thing, and like the history of it all. Yeah, just like cool things that I'm like, oh, this is so fun to read about. But like I said before, writing wise, it's a little bit of a struggle to like read through. I feel like a lot of people might get frustrated with the character's voice. It is in character, I guess you could say, but like doesn't mean you have to like it, right? It's a choice that the author made, and I respect that choice. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Okay, there is sexual content in this book, which is fine. I'm not opposed to sexual content. It occurs. People are sexual in their everyday lives, and it is what it is, and that's totally fine. So for example, there are moments where our main character starts a relationship with this woman, and it grows into something, relationship, so they have sexual connections, and that's fine. But then there are also moments that are so jarringly randomly sexual, and I'm like, whoa, where did this come from? Like there's this moment where our main character is asked or tasked to go find someone's husband, and he's dealing with like 2 agents, I guess you could say, and one of the agents is a very beautiful woman, and like he's going through this job or whatever, and then he looks over to her, really acknowledges that she's beautiful, and then gets like a random erection. Okay, I guess. And that happens like a couple times in the book. There's this like character that comes in every now and then that I don't fully truly like understand like her purpose, but there's this character that kind of comes in randomly, and her and our main character they just start going at it. It could just be in the middle of a completely separate like thing that they're going through, and then just like random banging, and I'm like, whoa, what happened to hello, how are you, we used to be a society? Like it's strange. And I know that in book they quite literally say our main character's a misogynist, but the writing doesn't like help either. So I have my book journal. This is the entry for Rosewater. Okay, so there are a lot of story threads in this book. The dome, our characters like telepathy, backstory, other stuff. And if you are a reader that kind of gets antsy and you like this plot more than this plot line, you're gonna have to wait a second before we like start addressing some of these. They jump like from each other quite often. Eventually they do kind of come to a head, but like throughout like the middle of the book, from the beginning to like the middle, I was like, I would like to stay with like the alien stuff, because that's kind of why I picked this up. At some point in the book, it kind of becomes like this kind of detective noir story that he's become a part of, and we kind of leave the aliens to the side for a little bit. Like that kind of stuff happens a lot. I would still be inclined to pick up the next book, especially since I hear that there's multiple perspectives and we follow one of the female characters in this book, and truly like the female characters are pretty good. Like I like them, I found them interesting, I wanted to be in their point of view sometimes. So I am interested to see what happens next and the aftermath of what we find out. As for what I want to read next, I've been reading like heavier topics lately. These past books I've been reading have not been very lighthearted, so I thought this would be a perfect moment to pick up a like YA contemporary, which I very rarely do. I don't pick up YA contemporary. It's not something that I was ever into when I was younger, like in the age range. It's not something that I'm into now that I'm older and out of like the target audience. But since I am in the mood, I might as well like you know, attack it. And when I do pick up YA contemporary, I typically pick up something that's either BIPOC or queer. And so I have Felix Ever After by Kacen Callenear. This is about a young boy who's trans and he's going through some high school stuff, first love. I believe he's also kind of being harassed, dead named, that kind of thing. So while I expect there to be some difficult moments, I'm hoping that the tone overall is still very light. But yeah, it's Thursday, so hopefully I can finish this tonight and like update in the morning and then give you like something else to read, so this vlog is not boring. And then I'll throw in some b-roll because I have forgotten to film for this week. Okay, bye. Do you want to say goodbye, Pugsley? No? Say goodbye. Yes, so I am in the middle of Felix Ever After. I'm at about 140 pages, so I'm really like well into it. And like I said before, this book follows a young black trans boy who goes to a like art school with predominantly like wealthy kids. He himself needs financial assistance to go to the school, and he's dealing with like very like normal high school stuff, like first crushes, like being bullied, specifically for him being trans, like dead named and stuff like that. Still kind of figuring out his like sexuality and gender identity, very like teen stuff. And I'm really like happy to say that this book feels like it is written for a younger audience in mind. I know sometimes we struggle with YA nowadays being like it's made for adults when the target audience should be young readers from like 13, 14 to 18. Some of these paragraphs do kind of read like Wikipedia on a page, which is fine, especially since the audience is young, and I'm assuming that the intended audience for this novel is also like figuring out stuff like gender identity and sexuality. So I'm fine with there being a more direct, like overtly non-nuanced approach to like gender and sexuality for a young audience. It is very easy and light to get through. Obviously there's some like more serious topics, but the tone is overall light and I'm kind of breezing through it. I was at like 40 pages earlier and then I sat down to read, and now I'm at like 140. So it's a very good book to kind of breeze through. That is where I'm gonna leave the vlog. It's Friday evening. I'm sorry I didn't give us much updates. Rosewater took a ton of my time, but that's where I'm gonna leave the vlog. Feel free to talk to me down below in the comments about anything I've talked about. I'd like to hear anything you have to say down below. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.